Hey, I'm Dr. T, and welcome to my desktop. Doing a little bit of gameplay footage, trying out the green screen. Well, blue screen in this case. Uh, yeah, so I'd heard a lot about how hard blue screen can be, and yeah, green screen, blue screen, etc. The lighting is a pain, so we'll see how well this actually turns out. Will be interesting. Getting some wires out of the way here real quick. Okay, so the game I have currently for you all is a game called Space Haven. And this is a city building game with a twist. The twist is that you can move your city. And I'm actually getting ready to do that here in a second. So what you do is you start out and you build yourself a small space station and you build it. And then you have hyperdrives and you can jump to new star systems. And the idea is you change what's around you. So like right now I've got a derelict ship, a ruined pirate ship. I'm going to jump to a different site, mine some resources, just kind of keep moving with the game a little bit. I'm currently getting everybody back in, getting ready to go. Okay, so as basically all standard base building games, you start out with a plot of land. In this case, you start out with a region of space, and then you can build onto that. So in this case, you have to build your hull, then you can build the stuff in the hull, etc. The size of your plot kind of determines what you can put into it. I've just got the biggest one. This is kind of end game. I've been playing this for a lot of hours. There's no real good end game to this, other than I've built myself basically a battleship. There are ships that can destroy me, but they're not going to like it. Okay, so I got my crew. They're roaming around, and like all standard kind of survival city games, you've got different resources. You've got, food production in hydroponics base with it's future based. So, hydroponics instead of farms. You're on a spaceship. You've got industry. And now this one, you actually have to control atmosphere. So you've got oxygen generators, which take water, then make oxygen. No idea where, still waiting for more crew to get back. No idea where the hydrogen goes. So, question mark. Not to mention, there's a lot less recycling on the ship. This is one of my kind of complaints with this kind of realism one. Is on a spaceship, you do super recycling. And while you can recycle your biological material, using your composters, which are over here, you've got gas scrubbers, which will take CO2, turn it into carbon, which can then be used for other resources. There's a pretty much of a flow through, which doesn't quite normally jive with a spaceship. It would be very much a closed system. Like, I don't know why I have to keep producing oxygen. I have a ton of oxygen generators. And if I don't have quite so many... Okay, sorry about that. So I've got a ton of oxygen generators, and they're constantly producing oxygen. It's like, I shouldn't need to be doing that. I have my water refining over here, and it's constantly needing to refine water. The water shouldn't be going anywhere. This should be very much a closed system. So that is one of my kind of complaints with the system, is that in a space environment should be very much a closed system. There should be no waste. Everything should be recycled. And I should have buildup of material, which I do in some cases get buildup, like biomaterial, etc. Okay, so everyone's gathering on. You've got, transport spaceships, mining spaceships. We'll see those in action here in a little bit. Anyways, what I was getting to with the atmosphere, with this game, you can also have anaerobic environments. So like this whole area has no oxygen. Oxygen goes away after a while, and because your industry has the habit of catching fire, and fire, just like on a real ship, is a nightmare scenario. You put those all in an evacuated area, and I think I've got everybody on board. No, I'm still waiting for one guy to get back on the ship. Anyways, by the way, there is speed settings. I'm just using this opportunity to talk. So, yeah, so you keep it in an anaerobic environment, no oxygen, the fire's like, it's on fire. Yeah, no, it's not. So it's kind of nice. But kind of as a chemist going here, someone who's enjoys sci-fi, this should be a much more closed system than it is. I mean, I understand from a gameplay position, but it's just kind of like, Now, are we ready? Would you... okay, I'm speeding up. I want to jump. I want to show you the hyper jumps and then going and mining and whatnot. Okay. No, we're still not ready to go. Got one robot that needs to get itself into position. Okay. We are ready to go. So this is what's unique about it from most base building or city building games is I was around 2 other ships. Now I jump into hyperspace and I can move to different areas. Like I can go down to here, and I have to keep an eye out because there's also, like events, etc. So I'm going to drop to this one. Now I am going to be in a different area. So I've changed my surroundings, which is a really unique kind of feature. And so now I've got some ice that I can gain access to. So I can say, hey, send the mining pods over to it. And they'll do so. And likewise, I can also tell my crew, let's just speed things up, I can take control of individuals. And these ones are the ones that have my best weapon stats because people can get weapons, you can make them. There's like 4 different types. I'm not sure on the spread on what's, the pistol's the worst. Shotgun's probably the best, to be honest. But they're equipped. I'm sending them over to go get some spacesuits on. There must be a ton of spacesuits in this one because every spacesuit locker you can don spacesuits with and take them off. So they must have tons of spacesuits. That's obviously being a bit sarcastic. Okay, so I loaded them up into the training vessel. Here I've got some groups that are mining the ice on this asteroid. Now this is one of the other features that it's just kind of like, I don't know. Asteroids naturally would have a ton of resources. So if I go up to an asteroid, it would be loaded. I mean, these things are, if it's an icy asteroid, it would have lots of ice, or an icy, I guess, comet of some sort. It would have lots and lots of ice on it. Likewise, if it's a metal asteroid, it would have lots and lots of metal in it, etc. So, I mean, the quantities. Okay, incoming solar flare. I am going to actually divert because solar flares are particularly unpleasant. So I want to, how much time do I have? 8 hours. I got plenty of time, but I want to get everybody back in and tell everybody to return home because we actually want to get out. Solar flares overload your batteries, cause fires like crazy, and it's not something I want to be around for. I was kind of hoping to explore this one. Oh well. So anyways. So I'm going to kind of speed this up, let everybody get back. And then as soon as we're ready to jump, we're going to jump. Okay, we're ready to jump. And if you leave someone behind, they're gone. They're toast. Which is, not fun, especially for them. Okay. And, I'm just not going to stick around there. The ice wasn't worth it. I'm going to jump to a different star. You have star clusters and you have kind of larger systems. This place is a nebula. It takes out my shields. I want to keep my shields. Thank you very much. Not permanently. It just kind of disables them. But shields are a very nice thing to have. I'm looking for a nice relic. Okay, so I'm going to drop over here. And once again, this is kind of the cool feature. This I like. This is not something you normally see from this style of game. So you can move around other players, or NPCs. This is single player. Move around. You can trade with them. Now, I don't really need anything, but I'm going to go trade some resources. One of the things you can boost is cloth from your industry. Well, fibers in an industry make cloth. So you can do that. And those sell pretty good. So it gives you, you get some credits, etc. Okay, so once again, I'm going to go ahead, draft these guys, because they're standing right there anyhow. And let's go over. Okay, walk back to the spaceship, please. Thank you. And what I want to do is show you all the kind of the hand-to-hand combat. So you got ship combat, which I don't know if I'm going to do much of, where the top of the ship you can install various shields, energy weapons, missiles, etc., and to slug each other out. It's not the most exciting part of this. And honestly, the combat in general in this game is not that interesting. But it makes for it's an extra feature. So I've drafted a couple of folks. They've got their weapons. And when I board here, a couple of things could happen. One, there could be like nothing here. Alternatively, it could be infested with aliens. And that's why I'm being cautious, and that's why they've got weapons on board. So I'm getting them on. I'm looking over here. And right now, I haven't seen the aliens yet. These are kind of the bug style, almost like a Starship Troopers kind of alien. Okay, nothing yet. Now it's possible I can find new crew members, various resources, kind of the standard. This is one of the major components of the game, is exploring unused ships. So like in this case, I've got a few credits lying around, so apparently some kind of like cryptocurrency or something. And this ship actually looks to be empty. But you don't want to go running through these because the aliens will take out your crew member pretty quickly. You also don't want to send one person over. Okay, so I've explored this. This one doesn't have any particular aliens on board. And so I'm going to undraft my people, and then I'm going to tell my crew, hey, let's go ahead, strip it clean. So take everything there. Let's salvage this. There's not much on the ship to salvage, but let's salvage it. And so once it's salvaged, I can then reprocess that into building materials. Okay, so yeah, kind of the exciting parts in the game. It's not bad. It's like, it's your classic city building game. They've added a few additions kind of recently since I played it a while back. One of the newer ones are the robots, which, the robots make life so much easier. Because your crew members are really hard to get enough crew. You're constantly limited on staffing. And so the robots kind of alleviate some of that, making that stress a little bit lighter. But also does mean that, if I lose someone, I go back to a previous save. I'm not so dedicated as to, just play through no matter what. No. Crew members are too hard to replace. And of course, crew members, you need to keep them comfortable. So we need to control temperature. So we've got life support stations, kind of these guys that control temperature. You've got your oxygen and gas scrubbers. So if you get fire, you get toxic fumes, not to mention a lot of your industrial produce toxic fumes. Hence, it's nice to keep it out, basically out and about. You're controlling comfort areas. So, living quarters, you want to make nice and comfortable. You can do that by adding lights, adding beds, furniture, etc. The jukeboxes are great. You need to take care of their toiletry needs. And this is actually one of those interesting ones. This, I'm pretty sure, is a European game. So you have toilets. They need to use toilets. And if they don't use the toilets, then they're going to have a condition where basically they've soiled themselves, but the word, while starting with an S, is not soiled. And I actually really wish they would change the word to soiled. One, for localization, because the term they used is not exactly a polite term in American English. In non-American English, my understanding is it's much less of an issue. And it's not not a horrible profanity American English either, but But also, I kind of missed the opportunities that condition. You have these various conditions that apply, like they're hurt, they've messed themselves, etc. That just kind of go away after a while. Sometimes it speeds up if they're wounded by going onto a medical bed for a while, using first aid kit, etc. But I think with the soilage, if they would rename it to Soiled Themselves and then add in a new facility of like shower and make it so it's like you don't remove that condition, which I'm not entirely sure what it actually does. That's unfortunately one of the things where I can probably dig through the wiki to figure out exactly what each one does. But add in a shower component that you have to install, and if you don't have a shower, then everyone gets soiled after a while, and if you don't have toilets, they get soiled really quickly because they go in the pants. Now, this game does have a tech tree. And once again, I'm basically at the end of this game. The only thing I haven't done is the enslavement facility, because you can make people slaves, which is like, yeah, I'm not going to play that style. You also get attacked by certain factions for doing it. So you've got this actual ethical choice. So I haven't researched that. I'm not going to. But a lot of stuff is kind of in this middle box kind of area. And this is actually kind of one of my... I'm not a huge fan of this feature. I understand why they did this. But you start out, and basically the most of the game is racing to get everything, because some of the materials you need, like upgrading the power generators, that gives you efficiency. You can use more resources with the same power consumption, or the same fuel consumption. But you also run into things like, you need certain parts that are made by the advanced assembler, where you have to research the advanced assembler. By the time you're up over here, this is most of the game through. So the entire game is basically racing through, trying to research this as much as possible. And the way you do that is you get this station over here. A crew member sits down and does research. Each person has different stats to them, or different skills, and then the higher those skills are, the better they're doing whatever things. Like weapon skill, this person is useless in a firefight. Research skill 1, they can do some research, but they're not particularly good. It's 0 to 3 kind of thing. But boy, if they're building stuff for me, they're great. They're great for industry. And early game, you're trying to pick a good blend of people that has the skills that you need. Well, what you end up doing is it feels very much like you're racing through the tech tree. And I don't know, I'm not a huge fan of that. In some respects, I like that. It gives a little bit more interest to it, but it also doesn't. I much prefer this style of game where you're building up resources. So like you have access to all the technology, but it's like you don't want to build this thing until you build this other one, because it won't be able to do the resources. And you got that in this game. So for instance, you've got, where is it? It's hard to find. You've got yourself the Weaver, which takes fibers, which you grow at the hydroponics bays, which is a technology you have to research to grow fibers. And then you make cloth, and then cloth can be used for other things. Okay, I like that. Or, the advanced generators require energy rods that are made by the energy refining facility, etc. So these are, I like that kind of supply chain, but the research, the tech tree just kind of makes you feel like you're running through the tech tree. And then you get to the end, it's like, okay, I built my base, now what? And this is kind of a common problem with base builders. It's hard to do a good end game. And then you start mining for stuff, but at a certain point you've used up, you have enough. Like I've got 103 raw chemicals, which they've simplified things. I like the way they've simplified it. You have base metals, so assorted iron, aluminum, titanium, noble metals, gold, platinum, etc. And if you're looking at what uses what, circuitry, etc., uses noble metals. The raw chemicals get used for a ton of different things, so I don't know if I'd like the game better if there were more different raw resources, because right now you got what, 5, and then 6, 7. That's engine fuel. That's energy fuel. So you have about 7 raw resources that you can't just grow or make or something yourself, and everything else you have to build. So it's like, I don't know if I wouldn't mind having more, or maybe I'm just asking too much. A playthrough probably going to take like 20 hours. It's not bad. So solid game. I can't remember how much I paid for it. It wasn't too bad. So I encourage you, if you like base building games, it's a nice gimmick, especially once they added the robots. Oh, that made life nice. I do encourage you, if you are playing this, make sure to get the biggest ship model. You just get the biggest ship. What you're limited on are these kind of core facilities like weapons, shields, sensors, etc. Each one of them has, system points, which is, the idea is you can make fleets, but making a fleet is just kind of a pain, because you need more and more people to make a fleet to make it viable. So it's easier to just make one big ship and travel through. But but your fleet has a fixed number of system points, and each ship hull size gets a certain number of system points. And once you're out, you can't put more weapons on the ship. Which, I mean, I understand they're trying to balance things, but it's just kind of like, okay. So, yeah, things got a little bit rambly out there at the end, but this is a game I've been playing for a while. I do enjoy it. It's kind of a nice, light game. You get to do some designing, make an area for prisoners and refugees, which, I don't know, the last playthrough I did, I haven't gotten any refugees. Earlier playthroughs, I get them all the time, and lately I haven't gotten any. Make crew quarters, make people comfortable, etc. And I've probably played way more hours in the game than it really kind of, warrants. Oh, okay, and so in this case, one of my water refinery is damaged, so it's more likely to catch fire. But it's in an anaerobic environment, so who cares? The ones you actually have to worry about are the kitchens, because those aren't in anaerobic environments, and those will take out your whole ship if you're not careful, which is why they're enclosed in walls. So yeah, it's an interesting game. I would like, I don't know. Part of me wants more complexity, part of me doesn't. More complexity would make it harder to get into, but it would make it better in-game. So I'm not entirely sure what my preference would be for this one. But overall, I can't complain. I've played like 90 hours in it. So, I mean, I've gotten my money out of this a lot because I did not play AAA title price onto it. That said, some of that 90 hours was just me sitting there watching it. This is a game that's, it's a very slow pace. Even if I speed this up to full pace, it's still a fairly slow pace game. This is not something where I'm challenged at all up with talking and playing. So, yeah, it depends on what you like. If you like this kind of game, once again, the moving the ships is a nice touch. But otherwise, yeah, this is Dr. T, over and out.